Before we jump into today's video, I just want to let you know that this video series is also available in podcast format. I actually strip the audio from the video and put it up on my podcast, Authentic and Unapologetic. The podcast episodes also come out earlier than these videos, so you get access to them earlier in the morning, just in time for your Tuesday morning commute. So if you don't have time to sit down, watch this entire video, or you need to get up and do something else, go ahead and search on your favorite podcast platform, Authentic and Unapologetic, and I should be the #1 search. Or just check out the description box down below where I've provided all of the links for you. So no matter where you want to listen to this content, be it the audio or the video, you can feel free to do so at your own leisure. Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel or the podcast, wherever you are listening. Today is a very special day because we're actually going to be talking about something that has been so highly requested in the comments from you, and that is light work. What it is to be a light worker, or what it means to be a light worker, and also 9 different signs of a light worker. And I'll be sharing some personal experiences with myself because I am a light worker, and it's going to be a good time. So if you've ever been curious about light work, this is kind of like the basic, I guess, like intro video. Eventually we'll get more advanced, I hope, but I wanted to do something that was kind of more basic level. If you're unsure of what a light worker is, or if you think you might be one, I want you to be able to walk away from this video knowing if you are or if you aren't. So that's kind of my intention here, is just to give you some basic information on light work and kind of a reference point for in the future. If we dive a little deeper, I will have this video to reference for you. So the reason this video took so long to get out there for you is because you all know me. I do not ever make content for you, especially when it's teaching anything, if I have not researched the topic or had an experience myself, like have the life experience. I am always someone that is going to get out there and get the receipts for you. So that's what took so long. And even though I am a light worker, sometimes it is kind of hard to put into words exactly what I do or what I feel. So I wanted to be very thorough before actually jumping in and making anything. So the burning question I'm sure many of you have is, what the heck is a light worker? So a light worker is someone, and this is going to be a very esoteric video, so if esoteric knowledge is not your jam, this is probably not the video for you. So I'm just going to put that in there right now. Not that I need a disclaimer. I feel like the tribe that we have on this channel actually is very esoteric, so I'm not exceptionally worried about it, but just letting you know, it's a very esoteric video. But a light worker is someone that agreed upon before coming to Earth that their mission would be, or at least part of their mission, some people serve a dual-purposed mission, but part of their mission would be to actually help raise the vibration of the collective unconscious and raise the vibration of the planet Earth and seed light into the earth, because only light can actually weed out darkness. So that is what a light worker is in very esoteric terms. Now, I do feel that we can break this down a little bit more, because currently on the planet, we are experiencing a massive awakening. There are so many people that are waking up to their highest potential, so many people that are waking up to their true purpose, waking up to who they actually are. And I really do believe that everything that we've been going through as a collective has kind of played a key role in that. You know, many people, not everyone, many people are also working really hard, but many people are home. Many people are, you know, at home, maybe reading more, finding different activities to do. And I mean, this video is coming out a lot later than when it's being filmed, so maybe we are in a different place at that time, but I'm talking about our worldwide pandemic that's been happening. You know, many people are home thinking, reading, studying, learning, and they are waking up to their divine purpose. And so we are going through a mass shift in consciousness on the planet right now. And I do believe that many people are waking up to their purpose as a light worker. And I want it to be known that light workers are not all spiritual entrepreneurs. Yes, that's what I guess you could classify me as, but there are light workers that are lawyers, accountants, nurses, childcare providers, mothers, fathers, authors. You know, there are people that are light workers that do a myriad of different things. So don't feel like you have to do what I'm doing to be a light worker or do what other people on YouTube that are light workers are doing. Many of us are spiritual entrepreneurs, and many of us are also something that is called a way shower. I would also consider myself to be a way shower, but that's not what today's episode is about. So we'll talk about that at another point in time. But I just wanted to let you know that there's no blueprint that says this is what a light worker is, this is how they operate, you have to be this kind of person. It's everyday people. Honestly, it's kind of the same as witchcraft. Like, witches are not all people that live on the edges of forests that just like make potions and lotions all day. You know, witches are literally everyday people. They're not all dressed in all black all the time, running around with their like 8 black cats. Like, it's not like that. There are literally the person in the next room from you could be a witch, you know? It doesn't necessarily work like that. It's just what I'm saying. So the other thing I really want to point out before we get into any of the signs of a light worker is that there are actually 2 variations, not necessarily about way showers. Like I said, there's more variations even than this, but the 2 different kinds that I really wanted to highlight in this video are, there are 2 types of, I guess, like light worker awakenings, where one light worker comes in knowing their mission, knowing their purpose. They already kind of have this divine connection. I definitely consider myself someone that came into this world already knowing. I never lost that part of me. And I think it's why I've had such an interesting upbringing, interesting childhood, interesting adulthood. I definitely would not say that my experience has been the norm. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the different signs. And then there are also light workers that are waking up now or later in life. You know, it doesn't matter if you are a baby or if you are 65 years old, it doesn't matter. There are people that wake up later in life. And I say wake up because to me, it's just waking up to your true potential, your true purpose, your true nature, your true calling. But some people do come into this world already born knowing. And I guess what I could say for myself, because I consider myself one of those people, I won't say that I knew that I was a light worker specifically. I knew that my purpose was something greater than me, and I have never lost sight of that my entire existence. And let's actually wait till we get into the signs and I'll explain. But just know that maybe some of you are waking up now. Maybe some of you have always known and you just haven't been able to put words to it. So the top 9 signs, in my opinion, that you are a light worker. Number 1, you intuitively know that you have a higher purpose or a higher calling that is just bigger than you. It is bigger than your existence even. And you've potentially always known. Now, this is what I was saying when I was talking about, you know, I've kind of always known that I was made for something more. And I can be honest with you, I think many people want to argue that this is everybody feels like they're worthy of more or that they're a special snowflake. That's not what we're talking about here. And I can tell you, because in my own household, my husband is not a light worker, I don't believe. He might be an empath, but I don't believe that he is a light worker. He does not feel like he has a purpose that is beyond him, and he has never felt that way. Now, I myself have always felt that way. I've never felt closed off from it. I remember being a child and praying, because I used to pray to God. I was raised Mormon. I am not Mormon anymore, nor do I practice. But I would pray at like 5 years old. I would pray that, you know, I would always like talk to God and be like, I know that I'm like the keystone of my family, and I know that I'm supposed to show them the way. And like, you could say that maybe that was put on me from outside pressures, but as we kind of get into the list of light work, you'll kind of understand where even those pressures that are brought on from early childhood are a part of it. So it's like I used to pray and cry my eyes out because I could feel all of these feelings of people around me. And I come from a family where there's drug abuse, there's alcohol abuse, there's physical abuse, there's mental abuse, and it's dark. But having all of these things, but still feeling my heart just constantly cry out, and just, I know that I have a purpose to actually help heal this. And I didn't say it in that many words as a kid, but I've always known. I believe personally that I came into this world with an extremely open third eye chakra and an extremely open crown. I think my crown chakra is probably my strongest chakra out of all of them. I feel the highest connection with it. I've never lost that part of me. Even going through my dark night of the soul, I don't feel like I have ever been closed off from divinity. I've always been aware, and it's just something I've always had. So, like I said, number one thing, you intuitively know that you are meant for something more. And you just, it's literally so, you know. I don't even know how to explain it. There's like, without a shadow of a doubt, you don't even doubt it for a second, because you just know. Like, you're so, and it's not about having a strong intuition or a weak intuition or not working on your intuition or understanding your intuition. It's literally just there. You just know. The second thing is that you are highly intuitive, and you're someone that people maybe even said to you as a child that you were like a baby adult, like you were mature for your age, or you could speak in a manner that was like, wow, like you are just, you know so much about life and you're so young. That is something that is also very, very common. Now, like I said, some light workers don't wake up until much later in life, but if you are a younger light worker, it's like you are like a philosopher in like a tiny body, and people are just mystified by it. And it's like, wow, where did you learn all of that? Like, you're so little. And that is definitely, like, I was always told really early on that I was very mature. I was very mature for my age. I handled things really well. And you're just like a good teacher of life. That's technically like another thing that in this, like, you're highly intuitive and you tend to know more without really having to like study or learn anything intently. You just already have like a lot of ideals about things without anybody being like, oh, here's this book on this. Like, you already kind of experience or have knowledge on things. And you're just highly intuitive. So the third thing is you have not had it easy. Many light workers experience things in this lifetime that are harder than the norm. Now, I can tell you for myself, I feel like when you're a light worker, you sign up to come into life on like ultra hard mode. Like, it's not even just like you beat the game and now you've gone back for hard mode. It's like you've beat the game 3 times already. You're going back on like the super dark, like death metal hard mode. And for myself, the only things that I can really say are I was born handicapped. I'm handicapped. I have hip and knee dysplasia. There's a lot of limitations physically that I have even now to this day. And I'm basically handicapped from the waist down. Like, I'm not necessarily wheelchair bound. I can still walk and do certain activities, but there are a lot of physical limitations that I do have. And I've had multiple from birth surgeries, which surgeries create trauma in general, especially at that age when you can't understand it. I've had to experience things, especially being handicapped, that many people have never had to experience and never will have to experience. And that doesn't mean that everybody who's a light worker has those kinds of problems. That was just my example for myself. And the next sign, the fourth sign, is that you have a strong drive to help others. And this is not just like, oh yeah, I was taught good manners, so I'm going to help this little cute old lady across the street with her groceries. No, it's like you feel a certain connection that your purpose lies in helping other people. And I can honestly tell you from a very young age, after I kind of went through I want to be an astronaut, which, like, honestly, I'm just a starseed. I just wanted to go back to the stars. I just wanted to go back home. But I think the first thing I ever wanted to be was an astronaut. And then I wanted to be a geologist, which, like, we all just love crystals. I'm just a crystal loving bitch. Okay. I was when I was a child. The thing that came after that, when people would ask me, teachers would ask me, what do you want to be or what do you want to do when you grow up? I would just say that I wanted to help people. That was it. I just want to help people. So that's like a big thing, is you have this like drive and mission, and internally you just want to help others. You want to be there for others. You want to support others. You want to help heal others, or at least guide others to their own healing is probably a better way of putting it. The fifth sign is that you have had a difficult or dark childhood period. And I feel like I kind of already covered this with the earlier point, but I would definitely say that I don't think my childhood was the worst childhood that I could have had. You know, I was blessed with a lot. But I definitely grew up in a household, like I said, with verbal abuse, with physical abuse. There were a lot of dark times growing up that just sucked, outright sucked. There's no other way to put it. And there were no real outlets for that. There was like this insane pressure for me to be different or perfect. I kind of was always told as a child that I wasn't like my other siblings, and I'm the youngest of 7 kids. So I was kind of always told like, oh, you're not like the rest of them. And I wasn't like the rest of them, surprise. But I feel that ultimately did put this huge pressure of perfectionism on me as well. That like, I was the only kid that was going to do this, this, and this. And I was the only kid who was doing it right from a very young age. And it put this high level of expectation of perfectionism on me. And that is something that even to this day, I still struggle with, this perfectionism. And that's something that I've had to really work through and navigate through. Now, do I think that makes my childhood dark? Not necessarily, but I do think a lot of the different forms of abuse that I witnessed or was actually involved in, I don't really want to dwell too heavily on that right now, because I know a lot of my viewers are also empaths, and that can be really tough information to digest. But having experienced all of those things, you know, I wouldn't say that my childhood was a cakewalk by far. I feel like there's this weird misconception in society, especially in like older generations, that if you had a roof over your head, food on your table, and your parents could provide like a family vacation, that meant your childhood was good and you got to have so much more than other kids. But ultimately, if you don't have the emotional support that you need to truly develop, I would say that your childhood is not successful. Your childhood is not great. I feel like in my childhood, that was probably the number one thing that I really lacked, was true emotional support, especially being highly sensitive, an empath, and a light worker. Like, I feel like, honestly, my family probably didn't even really know what to do with me. And I say family because when you have that many kids, like, you got kids raising kids, you know? But I feel like, you know, being somebody who was so in tune with their emotions but didn't know how to handle it, I definitely lacked a lot of emotional support. But the cool thing about that is, as an adult and as I kind of grew, I learned how to reparent myself. I learned how to heal myself. I learned how to support, how to validate, and how to heal. I learned all those things for myself, and that doesn't make me an island and like I need no one. But it definitely gives me the ability to, I don't require a lot from others. I get all of that internally from myself. And no, it has not been an easy journey to get there, but it is something that I have the power and possession to do now that I'm grown and I've given myself those skills, or I've taught myself those tools, that I now know how to do all of that, which is great. I don't think without those experiences, I would be who I am today. So the sixth sign is that you have gone through a dark night of the soul, or multiple, or you are currently going through one. A lot of people, your dark night of the soul is the thing that actually wakes you up to this light worker path. And I feel that for me, my dark night of the soul, which I have a whole video on that, I'll card it for you and link it down below if you're listening to the podcast. But with my dark night of the soul, it was definitely what woke me up to my path in its entirety, in its fullness. It was the process that took 3 years that led me to the person that I am today, that is not 100%. I don't think I will ever be fully healed. I think that's a misconception about spiritual people, is that you have to be 100% healed before you can help and teach other people. And frankly, that's just not the truth. Healing will be a lifelong process, but I can comfortably say that I'm very confident in the person that I am now. I feel very good about the person that I've become. I feel in alignment with my purpose, and I know this is where I'm supposed to be. And that's something that 3 years ago I would have died to have and to know. And the dark night of the soul is not a joke. It does not play games. It is not an easy time. It is very difficult. But you learn so much, and your consciousness expands so quickly that I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, it was one of the most horrifying and gratifying experiences I think I've ever had in my life, and I will never regret it. But I do feel that going through a dark night of the soul really does kind of bring you to the path. Another sign is that you are spiritual, but you tend to lean away or do not follow a religion. And that doesn't mean that you can't be religious and be a light worker, but most people that are light workers tend to not really follow much organized religion, or they start to kind of, as they kind of fall into their purpose as a light worker, they will dip away from organized religion, or they won't be so heavily invested. Now, like I said, that's not always the case. There are some light workers that choose to still follow organized religion, but many of them, I feel like when you wake up to your higher calling, your true purpose, you kind of see through and peer through a lot of the facades that humankind has kind of made. And I don't want to deter any of my religious viewers. I think it's totally okay. I believe that whatever path you have chosen for yourself, if it is the one that makes you the best version of yourself that you can be in this lifetime, then you are in the right place for you. And I would never try to take that away from you or tell you that you're wrong. But from my perspective, the more that I have studied all kinds of religions, and mind you, I grew up Mormon, the more I have studied all kinds of religions, I have kind of recognized that they're really all the same. We're all, even me, in my like spirituality, we're all talking about the same thing. We're all talking about the same divinity. We're all talking about the same source energy. I might not call the source energy, the universe, God, or, teach about Jesus Christ, or, anything along those lines, or where any of my Mormon roots come from. But I do believe that that higher power, that power that all of these religions teach and talk about, we're all accessing the same thing. We're all accessing that same divine love energy. And I feel that most people that kind of step into their light worker path, they kind of start to recognize that, and often will lean away from organized religion because they realize that it's all the same, and they don't necessarily need it. So again, that's not a knock on you if you're religious. That's not me saying that you need something in order to move through life. Do you, always do you, but that's just kind of been my experience. Two things can be true. The 8th sign is that you are or have been the black sheep of your family. This for myself, I don't know if my own family members would agree with this if they watch this video, but I absolutely, even just speaking to different family members, and I come from a huge family, I am definitely a black sheep, and I'm okay with that. I own that. I don't mind being different. I am definitely somebody that has very different views on life, very different views on the world. I handle my emotions differently. I heal differently. I have such a different view on life in its entirety. And I feel like when you are the black sheep, a lot of times that gets you a lot of criticism, especially from family members or friendship circles. But you just kind of always feel like you don't really fit the mold of everybody else. And like I said, I own that. I think it's a superpower. I love being different. I think it's, it took me a long time to be able to own that part of me, even to be able to say, like, I'm an ex-Mormon, took years and years and years to undo what I would, I guess, call the Mormon guilt. Like, it took years and years and years to step away from that, and years to be able to look at my path. This level of abuse did happen because sometimes we're just not in a place where we're ready to own our story or our authentic truth. And even if somebody else doesn't agree with it or doesn't, doesn't feel that that was the experience, that's not really up for them to decide. And I don't know why I'm getting off on this weird side tangent, but somebody obviously needed to hear that. So I own the fact that I'm the black sheep. It does not bother me at all. I am honestly, truly living my best life, and any criticism that's going to come at me, especially from a family member, nothing. It's nothing. I understand that that is all a projection of their personal reality, and it has nothing to do with me. And lastly, the 9th sign that you might be a light worker is you are committed to your path of self-growth. You are someone that truly, especially if you've gone through a dark night of the soul, I feel like you are someone that you can't get enough self-help books. You can't get enough study on psychology, on spirituality. You can't sign up for enough Reiki healing. You can't sign up for enough meditation classes, yoga classes. You are constantly working on yourself. And that can also be therapy too. You are constantly working on yourself, up-leveling yourself, and you know that healing is a lifelong journey, and you are going to continuously be committed to it. For myself, I feel like I really committed to my own personal growth journey around 2016, 2017. And it was a 3-year long process. And now I'm continuing that process, but it's not as difficult because I am in the flow. I am in the flow state of where I am in life instead of trying to force everything. And it's a really beautiful place to be when you've been forcing and in survival mode for so long. It's like a breath of fresh air when you get somewhere else. And I would like to do a video on that someday, but today is not that day. So you're just committed to your growth. You know, any little thing that you can do to help grow you and expand you, you want to do it. And you're not I mean, even if you are scared, you're doing it anyway. You're stepping outside of your comfort zone to grow. So those are the signs that you may be a light worker. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you got something out of it. Please do not forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I am at Kloee Taylor. And please remember that when you stand up in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I love you all so much, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.